Hey guys, Fox here. Time for another Game Gots, and this one's going to be a special one because I went to Game On Expo in Phoenix, Arizona. So I'm going to have to show off all the pickups I got over there in Phoenix. It was a pretty good show. I liked it a lot, and I'll kind of talk about my thoughts between it and the one that occurs at the exact same time, Midwest Gaming Classic. So I have some cool ideas for what to say on that, but first let me go ahead and get rid of some of the other pickups I did that did not happen at Game On Expo and get those out of the way real quick so we can talk about the other stuff. First up, I got a book from the limited run sale they were doing. I picked up the Virtual Boy Works. This is a pretty cool book. It just talks about all the Virtual Boy releases in the United States, so pretty cool. Also picked up the NES Compendium, Endings Compendium. This is a pretty neat book that talks about 4 years worth of all the NES games that were released, and it talks about the endings of each of those games. So it's pretty cool. I haven't thumbed through it yet, but looking forward to it. Up next was something that finally came out. I believe I ordered this through Limited Run. But I think it's a Retrobit release. So anyways, it's Shockman Zero here for the Super Nintendo, or the Famicom, as you will. Thought we would take a quick look at this. Here's the back here, Shockman Zero. Comes in a really nice little slip case box here. Or actually, it opens from the bottom. I stand corrected. A little magnet. That's nice, cool artwork here. Apparently these were serialized out of 9,000. Like this old anime artwork. Little plastic sleeve, and there is the special edition red orangish cartridge. Very cool. This will probably pop up on one of my shorts here very soon because I enjoy making those shorts. Up next, a couple of games from the Switch. I got this from Video Games Plus in Canada because it was on sale. Been looking to pick this one up and give it a play, hopefully around the October time frame. And that is House of the Dead Remake. Very neat. And also finally picked up a copy of Windjammers 2, which I hear is not nearly as good as the first, but I still want to give it a shot and give it a play. And lastly was a surprise pickup. I finally found a copy of this, but I had to go the reproduction route, as the original costs well over $300, somewhere near $400. And that is Steam Hearts for the PC Engine CD. This is an anime shooter that is rated adult here, 18, because it does have some risque anime scenes. So, you know, because I'm a classy fella and I like my shooters to have a little adultness in it, apparently. But this is one I've been looking for a while, and I can't justify that price for long. And then I found that PC Works did a reproduction of the game, and they did a pretty good job of making it. It looks very much like the original. The only way you could tell is on the game disc itself saying PC Works. So don't get scammed by that either. So I was quite aware. Didn't pay a whole lot, I think $70 to get a copy that I can play on the Turbo Duo. Very excited. Now, on to the main event here. Let's talk about the Game On Expo that occurred in Phoenix, Arizona. It was actually quite nice when I was there. I stayed at a hotel that wasn't terribly far, maybe a 3 to 5 minute walk over to the convention center. The convention center was pretty cool. It was quite large, plenty of room for everything. They had an arcade there, which was pretty cool because they had a bunch of like Astro Cities and candy cabs and stuff like that. So you had lots of games you could play. Their pinball selection wasn't nearly on par with Midwest Gaming Classic. They just didn't have as much there just wasn't enough there. They had this whole retro area set up, very similar to what Midwest Gaming Classic has, where they have a bunch of TVs hooked up to some old retro consoles. Not quite as much as Midwest, but they had a good amount there. They had a wrestling ring, because those wrestling stuff is quite popular. I've seen them at almost all the gaming conventions I've been to. What else did they have on that side? They had this whole Tetris competition area there. They displayed it on the big screen. They also had a bunch of other booths there. The nice thing about this convention center is it had a giant food hall cafeteria area where you can just select from many different places to grab a bite to eat. That was really nice, convenient. And they had really tight security there. You had to go through metal detectors and all that stuff just to get into the convention center. They had an outdoor area that had a big stage on it where some guys were playing some music, some retro game music, spun up into rock and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. It was fun. And there was just a lot of other stuff. The vendor hall, I would say, is roughly the same size as Midwest Gaming Classic. The one thing that Game On had over Midwest is they had a much larger celebrity area where you had all these voice actors and celebrities, signing autographs and taking photos and stuff like that. And I'll show you a couple things that I got over there as I go through. First up, right up front, they had 86, the member merch producer. They make shirts and all kinds of stuff. Anyways, they have an Atlas license and they made some Persona stuff. And here's some enamel pins that I did not have for Panther that I picked up there. Let's go ahead and move on to the autographs right away, actually, because they're up here up front. I can't remember her name, and this is awful. But anyway, the voice actress for Aurelia was there. She signed this nice art piece for me because Aurelia is an awesome, powerful woman character in the Trails of series. So that's neat to have. And the other one I waited in line for was to get Erica Harland. What's her name? Erica H. I'm sorry, I forgot her last name. Anyways, she voice acted in Persona 5. So now I have her autograph here for On, and then I also have Xander, who did Joker, on the front. Hopefully I could find some others in the future to keep signing my steelbook. Now let's move on to the good stuff you guys were waiting for, the games. One of the first things I found, which was on my list to pick up, was I wanted a complete in-box copy of either Pokemon Silver or Pokemon Gold, as I don't have any of the boxes for either of those games. Mostly shelf candy, because I already own copies of the game, just loose cards. But anyway, I did find one for a very good price. A guy was willing to work with me because he had quite a few to choose from. He had 5 copies of each, there. And this one had a little rougher box. It's still complete, has the manual, the game, and all that stuff. But I was able to talk him down to about $200. Which is very fair because I think this is going for at least $240, maybe $250 on average. So, especially with the very popularness of Pokemon, especially right now, especially the TCG, this I think I did pretty well on that. Next, got this really cheap, got it for $12, but it's a little tactical game that I've never heard of, actually. I'm excited to give it a shot. It's Wonder Myth for the Switch. I know it says 15, but I never play the sticker price at a show. I always talk them down. Even if it's only get $1 off, I always talk them down. But yeah, this is a tactical strategy game, from what I could tell in the description and looking at the photos. So even comes with a manual, which is nice. So yeah, pick that up. Also, Premium Games was there, or Premium Edition Games, sorry, was there. And I always liked the way they put their games together. I like it. It reminds me of a little bit of working designs back in the day. But anyways, I picked up Rack and Ruin. Really cool art. I just love these cardboard box slipcases they do for their games. It just makes me happy, and they do some foiling and stuff like that. But anyways, this one looks like a kind of like a over the head, like twin stick shooter maybe, or like a run and gun or something like that. But it looked fun. It was showing off in a video, so I went ahead and picked that up. My Wii U kiosk is I'm cleaning it up and doing some repairs on it and making sure it's real nice. And one of the things that my son decided that I should get for it so he can play it on there was Minecraft, the Wii U edition. And I told him this is not going to be up to date, just so you know. It's not going to be the current version of Minecraft, and he did not care. He thought that was cool that he could play it on the kiosk, so I went ahead and picked up a copy. This I picked up because it was on Alex's list. So Alex, Return to Mother Base, sent me a little list of some of the stuff he's looking for. Now, I usually go to these shows with Alex and Bobby and Aaron, but this year those guys were all busy, or they couldn't get off work, whatever. So I decided I was going to try to go by myself this year, and it was fine, but I don't think I'll do that again. I much prefer to go to these shows with other people. So next year will definitely be with the original gang again. Anyway, back to the list that Alex sent me. So one of the games on there was a Nintendo GameCube game, and I thought that was, and I was like, why is this on here? And I looked it up, and I was like, actually, this game looks pretty good. So not only did I find a copy for him, but I found another copy for myself, and that's Disney's The Magical Mirror starring Mickey Mouse. Yeah, I was like, why does he want this game? And then I watched some videos on it, and it looks like a really good 3D platformer, and it looks like a lot of fun, actually. So it's not very expensive, so I went ahead and picked up myself a copy. Next are a couple of licensed games, hurrah, especially for the NES. Just one I wanted to add for my collection. I know it's not a very good game, but it holds some value just because of the licensing name. And that's, excuse me, Home Alone for the NES. Yeah. So what happened was I was like, oh man, only $30 for a complete copy of Home Alone? I told the guy, yeah, let me have it. I'll pay $30. And he was like, that's not right. I'm like, what do you mean it's not right? And I showed the side, it says $30, man. And then he flipped over this side. He's like, no, it's supposed to be 60. I was like, bro. So he worked with me because he's like, all right, let's meet in the middle at 45. And I was like, okay, that's fair. Because I was all excited. I figured I found this because this is worth about $60. So anyway, very happy to get this. I will play a lot of these shitty Home Alone games around Christmas. It's fun. It's kind of nostalgic, even though they're not quite good. And then over in the corner, he's like, hey, I also have this one. It's pretty cheap because it's not complete, and the case is pretty heavily stickered. That's all right. So I got Home Alone also for the Sega Genesis. And this one is missing the manual. That's okay. It'll be fun to pop in. It's a different version, and it actually looks pretty decent for a Home Alone game. I'll probably enjoy it. I've never played this version before, so I'll give that one a nice shot. All right, the other heavy hitter that I picked up at the show was one that's been on my list for quite a long time. I just never find it, and when I do, it's overpriced. But somebody had it there for a good going price. I'll pull out the other game I paired with it. And I was trying to talk him down a little bit because ultimately I just wanted to pay $180 for it, and he asked $195. And to show it, it is $100 for the PlayStation. So I was like, he's like, I could do $185. And I was like, what if I threw in Lunar Dragon Song for the DS? You know, the shitty Lunar game. And he was like, what are you thinking? And I was like, let's do $200. And he was like, I don't know. I was like, okay, $205. He's like, all right, fine. So I did get a deal out of it in the end anyway. But yeah, $100, fun PlayStation shooter, excellent soundtrack, really cool, a lot of fun. This will probably pop up on the shorts soon as well, as I love playing this game. I'm very bad at it, but really like it still. And the other game, the Lunar Dragon Song, which I alluded to being a very shitty version of Lunar. I still want to try it. You know, I'm a big Lunar fan, and I would like to give this one a go, you know, and I don't know. It was made by the original creators of Silver Star. So Dragon Song, you're like, this got to be good. It's a new Lunar story. I hear it is awful, but I'll give it a shot anyway. An interesting thing I found was a demo disc that I've never seen before, and he was selling them for like $3 to $5 a piece. And I was like, I've never seen this one. Anyway, it's a demo disc for The Legend of Legaia. I was like, I didn't know that existed. I remember playing a demo for Legaia on just a demo disc that had all kinds of demos and videos and stuff on it. But this one was from PlayStation Underground. But anyways, Legend of Legaia, I love this game. What a great RPG for the original PlayStation. But it's got some cool art on it. So I thought this would be a nice little item to add to the collection for Legend of Legaia. So next, I got this for cheap because it's a tactical game that I do not have. Paid, I think, $8 for it, and it is Tom Clancy's Shadow Wars. This was like, was this a release day game, I think, for the 3DS? I think it was. But yeah, cool to add it to the collection. Just kind of a spur pickup because I found it in a bin of lots of PlayStation games. And I picked up Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. So, yeah, I like these puzzle games. These are a lot of fun. They're cute too. So, glad to pick that one up. Two more grabs for the show are some imports. I got a couple Neo Geo CD games, as I want to get some games to play on my Neo Geo CD. So I picked up, I don't even know which one this is. It looks like a Samurai Showdown. Katana Battle Action Game. It definitely is very Samurai Showdown, but here it is. You guys can correct me on the title of the game, but it does say Katana Battle Action Game. But it looks like Samurai Showdown, but you can correct me. But yeah, I got this pretty cheap, $25. And then this one, which was pretty interesting, which was marked much lower than what it actually goes for on like eBay and stuff. But I believe this is the Samurai Showdown RPG game. Will I be able to play this? Hell no. But I think I can get a fan's translation of this, or at least download an emulation of the game. Now that I own the copy, I don't feel bad emulating it all. But yeah, I think this is the RPG for Samurai Showdown. How obscure and cool to get. So there you have it, guys. Game On Expo was excellent. I saw quite a few YouTube personalities there. I'm going to show some pictures of this while I talk. And just to tell you a little bit about why there's a little small green creeper in all of these photos, was my son had sent me off to the show. He was pissed that he couldn't go, but he's a little young for these shows. But he gave me his creeper. That creeper's name is Jeff. So Jeff went around with me and took photos at the show, and he posed with some of the YouTube people. He posed with Erica, who did the autograph for me. She gladly took a picture and charged me nothing for it, so that was nice of her. So yeah, and I'll show off some pictures. All right, guys, if you have any questions about Game On Expo or what you thought about it, let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.